Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. We're doing a couch talk today. Haven't done this in a super long amount of time. If you're new around here, welcome. My name's Maria and I help people build healthy habits and enjoy a healthy lifestyle routine. Today's video is a little bit different as it's not scripted. I just want to have a real talk, like heart to heart, about the importance of self-care and how much heartache and headache you can save yourself by doing simple things every day to prioritize taking better care of yourself. This is because honestly, I care about you and I want you to live a life that you're proud of, and that is something that you can go to bed at night with just this much more peace of mind. P-E-A-C-E of mind. On that note, let's go ahead and get started. And as always, you guys know I hate asking you for anything, but if you could hit the red subscribe button below, it's totally free for you and it helps me to get closer to YouTube paying me to make free videos for you. Okay, let's be honest. How many of you have struggled to stick to good habits during the quarantine because of many different things? Either you're at home and you're not in your normal routine of going to work, you are very, very stressed and anxious, things are not going well in your personal life. Just give me a hand raise. Let me know honestly if you fit into that category of people whose lives sort of took a turn during the quarantine, which is totally okay, by the way. You do not have to be an expert at handling a worldwide pandemic that nobody saw coming, that nobody understands how to handle themselves in. It's fine. I'm not judging you. I don't think that you need to have everything together. There's no possible way to have gone back in the past and prepared for something like this. However, I do think it provided a mirror to many of us of what we are strong in and what we aren't. Self-care can be described in a lot of different ways. A lot of people think chocolate and sea salt baths and massage and going outside for a walk, and all of those things are wonderful and they are self-care, but what are you doing to fix the inside of you so that every single time you go on Facebook, you don't crawl up in a ball in your bed and not come out for 3 hours? What are you doing to separate yourself from every single stat that the news is throwing at you that's freaking you out? Like, what are your techniques for dealing with that? And have you ever thought about a technique for handling that? I know what works for me because I've been through seasons where my life has spiraled totally out of control. And maybe my techniques are different than the ones that work for you, but I think a really good place to start would be to treat yourself like you were a parent caring for a young child. What time do young kids go to bed? 8, maybe 9. But typically they go to bed early because the parent wants them to get a full night of sleep to be ready and energized and in a good mood in the morning. Guess what? You are not that much different than a young child. I personally go to bed at like 9 p.m. and I wake up about 5:30 or 6 because I need to get 8 full hours at least to be able to stay focused and function and move and stay clear-minded for the next day. So why do you keep going to bed late and cheating yourself out of a basic human need? Sleep is not a reward. Sleep is not just for people who don't have enough to do during the day or for people who aren't super stressed. Like, sleep is necessary for everyone. And if you don't believe me, check any of the major doctors out there who have research published on the importance of getting enough sleep. I promise you, so many of your issues will be solved when you can get 8 hours of sleep, because that's the amount of time it takes your body to settle down, to clean itself out, to change directions of your brain, which that is really confusing to explain, but it basically means your brain processing thoughts in your mind. There's so many body systems that rely on your decision making to get 8 hours of sleep. Now, I know many of you are working a lot right now. I know that it's not always easy to fit that time in. But would you rather wake up feeling strong and clear-minded and in a good mood by getting 8 hours of sleep? Or would you rather stay up late on your phone and prevent yourself from that, waking up anxious and tired and stressed and all of those things? And that has more to do with the chemicals released by not getting enough sleep than it actually does you just assuming you're gonna be fine. The next thing is, what do children usually eat? They usually have a plate full of healthy whole grains and protein and fruit and vegetables because it's important for their growth, right? It's also important for yours, so why do you keep cheating yourself out of good food that is meant to help you function in a better way? When I was young, my mom used to pack my lunch and she would put a PB&J in a bag and she would put carrots and grapes in the same bag, and especially if there were strawberries in there, then the carrots would taste like the strawberries and it would end up disgusting. But even to this day, I still carry out that routine and I still take a Tupperware, and I have a section divider in this one so they're not all mixing together. But I put my carrots and celery on one side and my grapes on the other side. And I always make sure to have some sort of fruit and vegetable on every meal because I notice I don't get as stressed and I'm able to focus on the task at hand. And for me, having a clear, focused mindset is more powerful than anything else I can think of. You would be able to tell that. Like if I didn't prioritize those things when I was doing a video, you would tell that I was anxious, my breathing is shallow, I'm nervous and stressed because of my to-do list, and am I making enough money, and all of these things that would make my videos super unenjoyable to watch. But instead, I'm able to focus on exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm not stressed about the other things I have to worry about. Eating well certainly is great for you physically. I mean, gosh, we know the benefits of the physique when you feed it the right foods that it's meant to eat. But more so than that, when you eat highly processed food, and don't get me wrong, because I do eat these things too, I just try and limit them to eating them in lesser qualities and quantities, but certainly I'm human, I do the same thing. When you eat a lot of processed food and fast food and fried food and alcohol, you have to think, what is the energy of that food? Well, it's man-made in a factory with many preservatives, and it's not really providing you much micronutrients, so like vitamins and minerals. So I kind of look at my meals and say, how many nutrients am I getting from this meal? A good place for you to start is to include a fruit and vegetable with every single meal you eat. Even if you have fast food, just add cut up carrots and some apple slices with your meal. That will make much more of a difference than you think it will, even if you're doing it in a very, very small amount. Also, you're getting your taste buds more used to eating that kind of food because when you eat a lot of processed foods, your body and your taste buds tend to crave processed foods, whereas when you eat real food, like right now, if I were to eat an Oreo, it would taste kind of gummy to me and kind of processed because I just had blueberries for breakfast. But I guess the biggest thing for me that I've noticed is that I move and I feel so good when I eat the right things. I don't have inflammation, my joints don't hurt, and maybe I'm young, so that's just something that comes more naturally, but I have patients who are, 60s, 70s, who eat very well and they feel the exact same way, or at least their inflammation and joint pain is minimized. What do young children do when they have a lot of energy? Typically they're outside or running around, smiling, giggling, having a great time. We could take a lesson from them as well. When was the last time you went for a walk with your friend at the park? For me, I go like 3 times a week at least because I know that it fills up my soul. And sure, my body feels great, but inside, I always feel so much more relaxed and at peace when I'm done, mixed with the combination of talking and just kind of venting out all of the things that are sitting heavily on my chest, as well as moving and breathing fresh oxygen and all of the things that make me a happy and healthy human being. Finally, I think the most important, arguably the most important part of self-care is how you are speaking to yourself on the inside. Do you let Facebook get to you? Do you let the news get to you? Do you let these negative and scary things other people are talking about get to you? One of the most effective ways I've found to manage stress is meditation. And this did not become apparent in my life until I hurt my back and I couldn't exercise for 6 weeks because running has always been my therapy. I have done therapy in the past, but now running pretty much does the trick, and I am back to it, but I know that there may come a time in my life where I'm not able to run, or I have an injury again or something happens, and that might not always be a possibility. So I had to fall back on meditation. And for me, meditation looks like lying flat on my back, with earphones in, listening to soft waves, or just a guided meditation video on YouTube. I like to do 20 or so minutes. It's not a big production. It's just something that gets me out of my head and into the deeper parts of me. For you, that might look like lying outside. It might look like going for a walk in the park. Anything that gets you out of the headspace that you're in is going to help you separate yourself from things right now that you don't have control over. And you only have control over the way that you act and respond to these things that are happening. And when you're doing the most that you can in that aspect, you have to be able to turn it off, or else you will cause that stress and angst in the lives of people you communicate with, and your energy will spill over. And most likely those people will do one of two things. They'll either become more stressed because of you, or they won't want to be around you because they cannot pick up that energy that you're giving off. Switch the energy that's happening inside of you from a negative to a positive. Now, that's not to say that you'll always feel good, because certainly you're allowed to feel down and scared and anxious and negative. But once you allow yourself to feel that, how can you yourself pull yourself out of that? Therapy is a great place to start, having someone to talk to who is professionally trained. But outside of that, you have control over doing the meditative work that you need to, over going for a run, going for a walk, anything that's getting you out of your box. Something else that I found helpful is talking to yourself and just being kind about the way that you approach things. I am safe in my home. My door is locked. I'm safe in my environment. I'm protected by my spirit guides, my faith, God, whatever it might be. I'm protected by my significant other, like whatever you need to tell yourself. I typically go back to the I am safe mantra, because it makes me feel better about whatever situation is happening, even if it's not physical. If it's like, I don't know what the future is gonna hold, if you're going through a job transformation, if you're going through a relationship transformation, telling yourself that you're guided and protected and safe will usually do the trick. And sometimes I have to repeat this over and over and over again, and I have to write it down and do all of these things to make sure I really get it through my head that that's exactly how I feel. I have to almost like not trick myself into it, but I have to talk myself into it, just as I would do to a friend who I knew was struggling. I know this video is kind of surface level and simple, but prioritizing better sleep because you're worth it, prioritizing multicolor, multi-component meals, some sort of movement where your body is just getting some activity like it was designed to do, and also getting your mental headspace in check are the things that I think we have the most power over right here, right now, to help us get through the day a little bit easier. I always think therapy is the right answer if that's something you're struggling with, but I really wanted to just kind of talk like heart to heart in a way that is positive, that doesn't make you feel scared, but that also makes you feel empowered and accountable for you taking accountability of your own health and happiness. It starts and ends with you. And if you keep putting the blame on someone else, that's a problem in and of yourself. Every problem that you encounter in your life, you have one of two options. You can keep putting it off, hoping it will go away, and it won't. It'll keep getting worse. Or you can take accountability and have some respect for yourself to actually face it and take the steps it will take to fix it. Thanks, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Let me know what your favorite part is below.